Welcome back to another episode of Coming Out. Today we have candidate for Miami-Dade County Commission District 5, Rob Piper. Rob, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure always to have candidates that are willing to put themselves on the line there, and I appreciate that because let me tell you, it does take a toll on us, and so anybody who wants to put themselves out on the circuit there to go and run, and they're Democrats, they're always welcome here, on the primaries. Afterwards, we will bring other candidates in the general. But let's talk about Rob and your platform and what you're thinking about doing when you win. So let's start with your background. I just found out that you became a doctorate. You got your doctorate degree.
Yes, I got my doctorate degree in 2023. December 2023 is when the actual ceremony took place. It's in international relations from FIU. And yeah, that was I had been working on that for a couple years after I retired out of the Marines, and I'm very, very, very. It's a lot of my views, my values are informed by what I learned in studying international political economy as a piece of that. So, I'm a transplant like many residents of Miami-Dade. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, grew up in Northern Virginia, went to college in Pennsylvania, and then I joined the military, United States Marines, hoorah, and went all over the world, and then came here in 2012 for my final twilight tour at U.S. Marine Forces South, and I retired in 2016. So here I am.
Well, thank you for your service, number one. Did you see action?
I have 3 combat tours to Iraq.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Great. Thank you for your service once again.
My pleasure.
But you've been involved in the community for many years. Take us through that, because it's, a lot of people ask me, well, who's Rob? Well, Here's the opportunity for us to find out who Rob really is.
Right. When 2016 rolled around, I retired in October, and right before that, I saw what was likely coming in November. We all know what happened in November 2016. And that's when I decided, okay, I had been politically apathetic for too long. And that's when I knocked doors for the very first time in my life in 2016. And after the election, I decided, okay, now it's time for me to get involved. A new way to serve, a new calling came, and since my life has been about service, I stepped up. I started to work to engage, inform, and mobilize voters in my community, in my Coral Way community of Shenandoah. I became a precinct captain and then a district leader for the Miami-Dade Democratic Party. And then I decided to start a Democratic club, the Democrats of Coral Way, in around 2019. I'm still doing that to this very day. And since then, I've worked to engage and inform and mobilize voters in the furtherance of the values of compassion, dignity, and equity, i.e. progressive values, anywhere I could, whether it be working on campaigns as a volunteer, as a paid regional organizer, or as just being somebody that could just get the information out there to inform people so they could make the most informed decisions. So I've kind of been like a community advocate, community organizer. I was the chair of the Take Back Our City committee in 2020 for Miami for the recall of Joe Carollo. I also worked in the State House as a legislative aide. I've worked on campaigns since then, and now I'm running. I ran last year for City Commission because I felt that the ultimate culmination of community service is running for elected office. So I threw my hat in the ring there. And after that, I saw an opportunity at the county government, to espouse values of compassion, dignity, and equity that I felt was not going to get that. People needed a choice of a candidate that would have those values, as well as a candidate that would share their experiences regularly with others, their experiences on the commission, to create institutional knowledge that can be given back and shared with other younger candidates that follow in my footsteps. Create those institutional tools, that institutional knowledge, so people can get a better idea as to how their government works or doesn't work.
Compassion and dignity
and equity.
Wow, those are three deep words, and I'll follow those because I normally do diversity, equity, and inclusion, but compassion is something that goes with my job every day. So I will include that, and I'll keep you close to me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for sharing that with. So you're running now as a candidate for District 5. It's kind of like the jewel district in the county. I'd like to call it.
I like to think so.
I
enjoy it.
It runs from Miami Beach all the way to, almost a little bit on 37th Avenue. Tell us about that district. Tell us what it is about it that made you want to run for it.
Well, apart from me living there since I moved here almost 15 years, it's very diverse. It's a very interesting monster. Well, I don't want to say monster, but it's very interesting because it has two municipalities in it: City of Miami Beach, City of Miami. And it's a very diverse district. It has people of all ages, people of all ethnicities in it. And it's very, very, it's a wealthy district, but at times it's also a very poor district. And one of the reasons why I wanted to run, why I wanted to serve, was I wanted to bridge that gap between like the very wealthy haves and the not so wealthy have-nots. Because I think a city that is as rich, or a county as rich as Miami-Dade County, people should not be struggling as much as they are with a county with a GDP that's so high and a wealth gap that's so wide. So I would like to, as commissioner, in addition to doing all the other things I want to do, I would like to at least put tools, use the tools available to me to put mechanisms in place to alleviate that as much as possible.
There is a lot of disparities also on Miami Beach. South of Fifth is probably very high end. And then right there, just, on the other side of Fifth, it's a very, very hard, working class community, but at the same time, very low income.
Yeah.
So just within one municipality, there's a lot of diversity, and it's in residents and constituents. How does that translate to your experience being, active in the community?
You mean how does it inform my experience?
Yes,
Well, it just solidifies it, because it lets me know that, hey, it makes it more obvious that these problems exist and that they need to be fixed. And if there is a way that, again, I could use the tools available to me, either be ordinances, resolutions, coalition building, in order to mitigate those effects so everybody can benefit, then yeah, definitely getting this race was the right choice.
Okay, so it's a tough race. It's I got to give it to you. You put yourself out there. What are your barriers that you've encountered? Have you encountered any barriers?
Well, I think probably the biggest barrier is the lack of money.
Okay.
And there are traditional barriers to entry that cause a lot of people to hesitate about running for office. Particularly a lot of people say, well, I don't have the money to run for office. And I definitely don't have the money to run for office. I've been outraised significantly by both of my opponents. And also, I'm not running a traditional campaign. I don't have a professional campaign manager or a professional firm backing me. And I'm actually kind of proud of that, because that's another barrier to entry, because there's civic engagement resources and infrastructure that people can access in order to create a campaign, a true grassroots campaign, right, a true community-driven grassroots campaign, in order to win an election, running for office and serving your local community. And I guess you could say I don't know if many people before me have done that, but I know there have been campaigns that have done that throughout history that have done those types of campaigns. And if I could be a proof of concept of that here in Miami-Dade County, then I'd say then that's definitely something worth doing.
Well, there is hope because I saw it on Miami Beach recently with Monica Mateo Salinas being elected. She's the most junior commissioner on the dais right now. She got elected recently, and her campaign was really overrated. She didn't have as much money as other people. Outraised. She had very grassroots. She did it. And
That's fantastic.
She did it overwhelmingly because she ended up getting on the first round of 7 candidates, she got 23%.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the runoff, she got almost over 70%.
Fantastic.
So kudos to her. I mean, I always bring her and I always use Monica as an example. She's a friend, but she's really an example of what you were just talking about. It can be done,
Fantastic.
So, what other barriers do we find for grassroots campaign? Because that's what I would want to run. Talk to us about grassroots campaigns.
Well, I just think probably the big thing is, and this is what I learned when I first ran last year, you have infrastructure that you don't even know about or that you don't even realize that you have. It just comes of like organizing and coordinating all that infrastructure that's out there and bringing it all together towards one common goal. And it takes a certain, like we were talking about before, campaigning. It is its own different animal, and it requires a lot of self-promotion, going out of your way to self-promote because
you wear a lot of hats.
Oh, yeah. I wear a lot of hats. I got to be my compliance officer. I got to be my kind of my own treasurer. And because, I could hire somebody to do it, but the money's not there to hire somebody to do it. But you also have to self-promote. I am naturally not an extroverted person. So that has been the most, I don't want to say difficult, but challenging aspect of this, going to people out of the blue and asking for an endorsement or asking for money. So that's one thing I'm working on and I'm getting better at.
The asking for money for me is the difficult part.
Of course.
Because then you feel like you owe that person, or I feel like I owe that person a favor. Mm-hmm. And by the time you get into office, then you owe so many favors that, I just, for me, that's just, I would like to see some type of campaign reform on that aspect and limit the amount of spending. But that's kind of like not something that they want to do out here.
Well, you bring up a really good point. There is a lot of money, particularly in South Florida politics, and it can have an effect, unfortunately.
Of course. I mean, they give you $100,000 for this. You owe them $100,000 favor, or somebody contributes, then they feel like, oh, okay, well, I can call Gabriel at any time because I gave him $100.
And that's,
and that's perfectly fine. But, when a developer comes around, then your hands are tied.
Well, and that's why I try to make it clear when I campaign about what my values are and how I plan to serve. So then that way, the favor I'm giving somebody is being able to govern from a way that's of integrity, coming from a point of integrity, dependability, and reliability. And if there's any type of favor that might put the people of Miami-Dade or people in my district that might put them in a bad situation, well, then I obviously can't grant that favor. And one of the things that I want to do is be the utmost transparent with all my interactions when I'm on the days, when I am a commissioner, be transparent with all my interactions via I want to start continue my practice of sending weekly email updates to my constituents, my current constituents, my future constituents, as well as try to have at least monthly town halls where I can keep people in the loop as to what's going on, as to the types of things that they may not be privy to with, say, a normal a regular commissioner, a typical commissioner. And so then that way, the pressure to give favors is reduced because people know what I'm about, they know where I'm coming from, and they know the boundaries that they shouldn't cross, and they know where I won't go.
Are there, other than what's in your district, are there any countywide issues that you see that you would champion?
Well, the one big thing, and I've been getting a lot of this, and I've been learning about it over the past year, is City of Miami they passed a fantastic resolution against the Live Local Act. And I would like to, as a commissioner, introduce a similar resolution, unless one of the other commissioners beats me to it, to challenge the worst pieces of the Live Local Act. Find the resolution that the City of Miami passed allows them, it directs the city attorney to review any avenue that the city can take in order to resist some of the worst aspects of the Live Local Act. And I think the county should follow suit, because the Live Local Act, in a nutshell, was written with developers in mind and not with the communities that it was supposed to serve. And in terms of affordable housing, it uses kind of the ideal of affordable housing as a means to give developers whatever they want, but without any regard to how this affects the community, the stresses that overbuilding puts on the infrastructure, on traffic congestion, on home prices. Because the way the Live Local Act is structured, it doesn't reduce demand, which drives prices. It just allows you to keep building whatever you want, and maybe if you slide a couple of affordable housing units on the side, then you get to build whatever you want. But yeah, that's one thing that I would like to do is to have a resolution to pursue avenues, at least at the county level, to challenge that law where we need to.
And that's also that state preempting local municipalities and home rule charter.
Yes.
And telling us what can be built and what can't be built,
right,
when you have, code, local code.
Yeah.
So I find that sometimes to be like, I don't understand why the state is doing what they're doing. I get it.
Developers, my instincts tell me it's developers trying to get favors.
It is what it is, and that's what it boils down to. But what really should be boiling down to is our constituents and the infrastructure that we're leaving behind.
Absolutely.
And all these, I think it's what's the percentage that they have to have of low?
Just 40%.
Yeah. And it's like,
I'm thinking we couldn't get like 60.
Right. No, it's like, and then the worst part about it for me really is the state preempting, because that bill allowed other preemptions to come into play.
Oh yeah.
And now that's like the mode in the state of Florida's legislature is to preempt whatever they, whatever they don't like, they just preempt it. So, so I highly, very excited about that for you. Hopefully that can come across. What other issues do you see, like the resiliency, environment? Where are you with moving the UDB?
I'm totally against it.
Okay.
Because again, we can solve the affordable housing crisis without continuing to develop and developing past the UDB. The Everglades they're not just a state treasure, they're a national treasure.
Correct.
And so we need to preserve it. And the very fact that we keep moving this line is, for me, it's unacceptable.
And again, it's the developers coming into play. It's the money coming into the campaigns.
Right.
It's really surprising how sometimes, you see these reports and you're like, no wonder they're voting this way, because.
Well, yeah, I was privy as a legislative aide. I was privy to that when I went up to Tallahassee. The offers or the requests for meetings from like from certain entities that may or may not have been questionable was painfully obvious, what they were looking to get. So it is something that me as a county commissioner, I think I'm going to try to make myself maintain my awareness as much as possible, and to be able to call it out wherever I see it, and to hopefully use the tools available to me via resolutions, ordinances, coalition building, purse strings, the money purse strings, in order to try and resist it. Kind of like to resist state preemption and to preserve what the residents of Miami-Dade County need, particularly residents of in my district.
One of the things in that district is connecting Miami and Miami Beach with a rapid transit or mass transit. What's your position on that? What do you see as an alternative? Right now they have buses and we have water taxis. Mm-hmm. What is your solution, or what do you see as an option?
Well, I guess I need to get more spun up to speed on it. I mean, I think the best option would be the most affordable option, obviously. Now, building rail to bridge the two municipalities would be very expensive. So I think that we should probably focus on the options that are the most affordable to implement.
Okay.
If we need money for that, one thing I would like to do is introduce an ordinance to create a revenue generation task force, which would analyze the county's true financial posture, and then make recommendations to the commission as to where revenue can be generated in order to pay for projects like that, more water taxis, more frequent buses to and from Miami Beach and city of Miami. Buses in general.
I use the 150 to get back and from the airport, and that frequency is not there. Mm-hmm. And it's a highly used route,
right?
Always very crowded on the buses, with people with suitcases, and I get it. It's coming into from the airport, but the buses aren't adequately prepared for those individuals with suitcases and stuff like that. So
right,
it's we need to modernize our and adapt to what we have. If we have
exactly,
if we are a city that bases itself on tourism, then let's focus and adapt to that and apply our resources to that.
Right, and I think that's where I think the revenue generation task force would come in handy, and they would give recommendations whether do we need to maybe tweak the millage rate on the property taxes for high wealth individuals, or is there some other way, maybe perhaps fees on very high income wealth generating industries like finance, logistics, finding ways to find the revenue to pay for more buses, more resources for public transit in order to allow increased frequency of that transportation, so you're not sitting waiting for an hour on just to get on a crowded bus that might be sitting in traffic for about another hour.
I have a car. But I like to use public transportation because I have the ability, and I go to places where there's transportation. So
right.
On the beach, I try to use it.
Yeah, because parking is a pain on the beach, and and that's where we develop more. We're going to need parking for all that extra development. So I
serve on the design review board of the city of Miami Beach, and I tell everybody that comes with me, if you come with parking, you're good. But if you don't come with parking, then you're gonna get a no vote from me.
Right.
And that's all I believe in, because there's lack of the infrastructure to park and to develop a more buildings. What are you gonna do? Where are you gonna park all these people? But it is what it is, and we try to do what we can, and that's my contribution on the design review board. Parking. Mm-hmm. I've been adamant about it, but as we come to a close, like I told you, time flies here at coming out, and now we are faced with you, as you know, as you're faced with your election. What do you like to leave us with, and your final message is what?
My final message is I am here to serve. I am the only one in this race that espouses the values of, again, compassion, dignity, and equity. I've spent the last over 10 years fighting to expand, preserve those values. I also have the know-how and the work ethic in order to ensure that everything that I do is shared with you. So my watchword is going to be, I want to make things so transparent that no one has any question about how their government works or doesn't work. And I want to share what I learn with my constituents. I want to put mechanisms in place to make things more affordable. I want to put things in place that make the government less confusing, make it more transparent, and I want to put mechanisms in place that allow us to allow our county to become more climate resilient and resistant to all the extreme weather patterns associated with climate change. So I ask for your vote. If you'd like to know more or get in touch with me, just go to my website, robpiper.heretoserve.com, all one word.
So it sounds like you're always faithful.
Absolutely.
Semper Fi. So
Semper Fidelis. Yep.
Yes. So congratulations on your many accomplishments and running now for office. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
And I look forward to serving with you, hopefully in the future. Until next time. Thank you for joining us.